clothes were bought this morning, by the way. We're waiting for my bed to come, and it never arrived. So I'll give you guys a couple minutes to take your seats. How's everybody doing? Everybody good? Yeah? Awesome. So let me start by asking a couple of questions. First of all, who here speaks English? Raise your hand. English? Okay. Who doesn't speak English? Some people. Are you getting translated simultaneously in your earpiece? Yes? Okay. How many people here are salespeople, own salesmen? Raise your hand. Okay, great. And how many people here are business owners or entrepreneurs? Raise your hand. Okay. And how many people here are still in school, students? Any students in the audience? A few students, okay. Great, everyone's still coming in here, let's go. All right, so here's the situation. We started a couple of hours late, so I'm just gonna go a couple of hours later. All right, I didn't want to come out here naked in my underwear. I think it's better to have some clothes on, right? So let me start by explaining what the goals are today. I've been speaking around the world for about 10 years now. And, you know, I've been talking to people who are salespeople, entrepreneurs like yourself. And what I've been doing is I've been sharing a system with them that allows people to make a lot more money, to close a lot more sales. It shows people basically how to get what they want in life. And this is a system that I personally have been using myself in my own life since I'm very small. Really since I was, almost like, first started selling newspapers door to door when I was 8 years old. And over the years, I found that in any situation that I've ever been in, I somehow was able to become the top producer, the biggest salesperson in the company, just like almost from the start. And there was something that I was doing, some way I was going about speaking to people, getting my ideas across. It was something I was doing without really knowing what it was that just allowed me to succeed at a much higher level than the people around me. Now, how many of you, by the way, have seen the movie The Wolf of Wall Street? Raise your hand. Yes? Who liked the movie? Yes? You're great? Yeah? Awesome? Great. So, as you know in the movie, I trained all these young guys who weren't that smart, didn't go to great schools, who weren't naturally great at sales, and I came up with a system of training these salespeople, and they all became millionaires, virtually overnight. And what you saw in the movie is actually true. I did indeed invent that type of system, and some of you probably have seen this before, heard a bit about it. It's the system, and I'll write it down for you. Let me move these boards up so you can see them better. And the name of the system that I came up with many years ago, is called the straight line system. And basically, what the straight line system is, it's a very easy way for somebody to essentially learn how to sell anything. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be, a tangible product like a car. You could be a car salesman. You could be someone who's selling houses, a real estate person. You could be selling ideas. You could be selling a product that you can't really see or touch. Like it could be an insurance person selling an insurance policy. It doesn't matter what you're selling. By using this very simple system, I can take any person, anybody, and turn them into a top producer very quickly. So my goal today is basically in the hours that we have together, is to teach every last one of you as much as I can about the straight line system. So when you leave here on Monday morning, when you go back to work, you can start making more money. You can start closing more sales. You can start being more effective. Now, in terms straight line is. I'm going to use a word here. I'm going to use it over and over again today. The word is called strategy. The straight line system is a strategy, meaning it's a way of going about doing something that allows you to get the same result every single time. It's a way of going about doing something. Now, when it comes to achieving wealth and success, it's not only about selling. Clearly, it's sales, learning how to close the deal, is the single most important skill, bar none, when it comes to making money. But it's not the only thing. You see, when it comes to success, there are actually these two different worlds of success. You have on one side the inner world of success, and the other side you have the outer world. See, we live in a world of what's called duality. You have up, you have down. You have start, you have stop. You have yes, there's always two sides to every coin. So the same thing is true when it comes to achieving success, when it comes to making money. So what the straight line system is, it's essentially an outer world strategy. It's a way of going about and actually doing something in the real world to get a specific result. But what you also have is something up here, your mindset for success. The things that happen up in your head before you ever go out into the world and take action, and that is called the inner world of success. And in order to achieve success at the highest level, essentially what you need to do is reconcile these two worlds together. Set yourself up with the inner world of success, and then once you've done that, you go out and you can achieve by using the strategies in the outer world of success. One without the other, and it's very, very hard to achieve at the highest level. So what I want to do today, the reason I say this is I'm not just going to be talking about the straight line system. That's not the only thing I'll be teaching you. I want to also be going through other different aspects of success. Now, let me just go back a bit. When I first started going around the world, it was 2009 or 10, I really started aggressively going out there, country by country, after I wrote my book. And people were saying, come and teach my company, teach my people, organize, we had these big events, they say, teach people how to become successful. And what I would do is I would go out there and I would start teaching people the straight line system, how to close deals. And I would, in one day, half a day, whatever it would be, I would go out there and I'd literally nail in the straight line. And what would happen is, a year later, I would come back to the same place and I'd see something very odd. And that was that about half of the people who had attended my events would go out there, they'd use the straight line system, they'd make massive gains in their life, they'd become much wealthier, be more happy, the whole 9 yards, right? But half of the people, the other half, wouldn't have really made any changes at all. They weren't getting a benefit. I was like, there's something missing here. And what it turned out was missing was that if you just learn sales, you just learn this inner game, this outer game here, strategy for success, without focusing on the inner world of success. Let me put it over here. I'm going to move this board up as well so you guys can see it. So here you have what's called the inner world of success, right? And the inner world of success represents the things that happen before you go out into the world and take action. It's a success mindset. And then on the other board here, let me move this up a little bit closer so you guys can see it. So I'll move this one over here. And we call this one the outer world. Hello? Not me, right? This is the outer world of success right here. Okay? Now, on the inner world, you only have 4 things that you need to know how to do. There's only 4 things. 1, 2, 3, 4. And on the outer world of success, you only have 4 things that you need to do over here as well. So there's not 1,000 things that you have to know. There's really only 8 specific things. And once you know these things, these 8 things, you can take any idea that you have, any business that you have. And by the way, if you're a salesperson, you're still essentially in business for yourself as a salesperson. It's like owning your own business. So you know these 8 things, you can become a top producer, make massive amounts of money, and so forth. Get the life that you want. Now, and I'm going to just listen, just get a late start. I'm going to dig right into this right now. Just give you guys a massive amount of content. Now, a couple of things, okay? Number one, we can't just sit here all day long in our chairs, all right? While I speak and you listen. If we do that, what's going to happen is you guys will in 2 hours, you'll be freaking asleep. Is it okay if I curse, by the way? Fuck it, right? You guys already paid, right? You're stuck. Right? Listen, sometimes I curse, I'm from New York, I worked on Wall Street, and occasionally I let out the F-bomb, so that's okay, yes? Yeah. Louder, yes? Yeah. Come on, yes? Yeah. Right, everyone stand up, come on, everybody stand up, let's go. Everyone stand up, quick, come on, let's go. Everyone stand up, let's get some energy here. Come on, stand up. Some people are still sitting. Let's go, everyone stand up. Who saw the movie? You all saw the movie, right? Yes? By the way, when I yell something, I want you to yell back the answer. Yes? Yeah. All right. Who remembers this? Come on. Come on, let's go. Right? Guess what? I never fucking did that. It's true. I have to be honest. I never did that. Actually, that was something that Matthew McConaughey did while they're filming the movie, right? So they're up in that scene at the restaurant, and Matthew McConaughey's about to do the scene, and he turns to the side, and he starts staring at him. He goes, and Marty Scorsese is like, what the fuck is he doing? So Leo goes, it's like something that he does before he acts to get himself into the right state of mind. So Marty's like, I love that. And he's going to do that on stage. So they actually took him, had to do it there, and it became this sort of rallying cry, this war cry during the movie. So what Matthew McConaughey was doing is, right, is something he does to get himself into the right state of mind. It's called firing off an anger. Now, when I was younger and I owned Stratton, I didn't do didn't do that, right? But what I did is I was keenly aware that if I had my brokers in a positive state with energy, they'd perform better. If they're in a low state with not a lot of energy, they wouldn't perform well at all, right? So instead of having them do what I had them do each morning, I'd have them stand up at their desk and have them squeeze their hands together, like this, squeeze their hands together, and we would say this word. The word was yes. So everyone, 1, 2, 3, yes, let's hear it. Louder, 1, 2, 3. Yes. Squeeze your hands together so your nails are almost together. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Come on, 1, 2, 3. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Now say the word no. It's like a fart, right? The word no. There's no power in the word no, but there's power in this word yes. So what everybody I want you to do right now is everyone I want you to imagine for a second, and come on, everyone stand up. If you're not standing, come on, stand up and get yourself into this here. You got 8 hours, you're paid good money for this. Let's go, stand up and get into this. Everyone close your eyes for a second, and I want you to imagine yourself 5 years from now, and you're living the exact life that you want. Just go 5 years out, and imagine yourself living the exact life you want, and see it in your mind's eye. You're living in the house you want, your business is running the way you want, you're a top salesperson, you're making tons of money, driving a beautiful car. Just see that picture in your mind. Create that goal 5 years from now. And everyone, when I count to 3, squeeze your hands and say yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes. Louder, 1, 2, 3. Yes. Come on, louder, 1, 2, 3. Yes. Everybody shake the baby. 1, 2, 3. Yes. is I make this move. I go like this. I take the back of my hand and I slap it into the back of this palm. The reason I do that, it's a move that I make when I'm feeling very certain about something. It's my anchor for the emotion of certainty. It's something that I naturally do. Now, everybody does this. It's not just me. Not necessarily this, but there's something that you do. There's some way you move your body when you're feeling certain, when you're talking certain. So what I want, it doesn't matter what move you make, but when I count to 3, I want you to say the word yes, and I want you to make your own particular move, okay? So anybody, 1, 2, 3, yes, let's go. Nada, 1, 2, 3. Yes. Nada, 1, 2, 3. Yes. 1, 2, 3. Yes. All right, give you guys a round of applause, come on. Take a seat. You're like, what the fuck? This guy has me standing up and yelling? Is that they do it in America? They're crazy over there, right? All right, so let's get into it. Here's the deal. There are 8 specific things that I want to touch on today. This is a formula for success. So let me ask you a question. Who here wants to make more money? Raise your hand. Yes? Really doesn't sound. Who wants to make more money? Yes? Yes. Who wants to have more fun? Yes? Yes. Who wants more of both? Yes? Great, well you come to the right place, okay? Of these 8 things, there are 4 of them on the inner world, and the first one is something called, what I just mentioned, it's called state management. How to manage your physiological, emotional state. Meaning, how you actually feel in the moment has a huge impact on your ability to perform. Now, we see this all the time in professional sports. We say someone's in the zone. We see an athlete in the zone, and they're just performing amazingly well. But the same thing exists in all aspects of life. In other words, there are certain states that we have, positive states of mind, that allow us to be the best that we can possibly be. And there are other states of mind, negative states of mind, that stop us from being the best. They actually hold us back. So essentially what your state does, your state of mind, it's your in the moment, your near-term indicator of whether or not you can tap into the skills that you have to be the best you can possibly be. In other words, it's in the moment. See, you might be the best salesperson in the world, but if in the moment you're in a state of negativity and you're uncertain, how good of a salesperson can you be? Not that good, right? So what your state of mind does, it allows you to access the resources and the skills that you already have so you can perform at the highest level. Now, there are certain states here that lead to massive success. Now, there are 4 particular ones, and I call them the 4 C's. So put those up, please, and tell you exactly what they are, the 4 C's, okay? Liz, throw up there, please. There's 4 C's. They're called certainty, clarity, courage, and confidence. Certainty, meaning that you're certain about what you're saying. You have that confidence in what you do. 3, you have courage to overcome your fears. Essentially, what courage really is that we essentially act. Can you turn the spotlight down a bit so, because I can't see people, and I love to see people's eyes here. I'm blinded by this central spotlight. So whoever's running that light, just turn it down a little bit so I can see people's eyes here. So you have the state of essentially fear, right? That we all have certain fears. Courage is acting in spite of our fears. Okay, so you have certainty, clarity, courage, and confidence. The 4 C's. Now put the opposite of those 4 up. These are the negative states, a state of uncertainty, of feeling overwhelmed, of letting fear rule you. And number 4 is in a state of self-doubt. Now, again, I don't care how great you are at sales. I don't care how much you know about running a business. If you spend 90% of your day in those 4 negative states, good luck trying to make fucking money. It's really, really hard. You can't do anything well. And by the way, it's not just about money and success. Raise your hand if you're a parent. Any parents in the audience? Who has children? Raise your hands. Parents? A lot of you, right? Okay, so you have kids. You love your kids. I'm sure you're great parents. At least most of you are, right? You've probably even read some books on parenting so you know the skills of parenting, right? But if you walk in the door at the end of a long, tough day, and you're in a state of impatience and anger, how good of a parent can you be at that moment? Not very good. So you might know how to parent, and you might love your children, but if you're in negative states, you can't access what you know how to do. This is why when you have certain salespeople, I've trained more salespeople than anyone on the planet, I really have. And what you see sometimes is people that have immense talent. They're naturally great at sales. And the problem is, they're only able to harness that 1 day a week. 4 days out of the week, they're emotional basket cases, you say. They can't do anything. They're paralyzed. They're worried, they're fearful, they're lazy, they can't motivate themselves. And as managers, many managers, owners, we say, how can we motivate our people? How do we get people to be the best they can be? And there's a way to do that. And I'll get into that a bit later today. But to understand what's really happening, the idea that you're good at something, your skills, that's only half the equation. It's can you access those skills when it matters most? Can you call on the skills that you have in the moment to be the best you can be? And that comes down to the state that you're in. Now, again, this is for business, these 4. But there's also states for just general life. Let's put those other 4 up now. Next 4. Things like being in a state of compassion, love, patience, and happiness. And then now put the opposite states up. Cruelty, hatred, impatience, and misery. Right? So again, think about it. If you walk around most of the day in these negative states, it is really, really hard to live a healthy, happy, productive life. You're basically miserable. Versus the empowered states here, certainty, clarity, courage, confidence, compassion, love, patience, happiness. Those are the states that lead you to have a great life of wealth and abundance and success. Now, when I asked you to stand up and start, saying yes, my goal was to start getting you into a more positive state of mind. Because the way it works with our state of mind, and I'll do this throughout the day, is the more motion that you have, the more energy that you put out there, the more positive your state tends to be. Secondly, also by focusing on the positive, meaning the glass being half full versus half empty, it also leads people to be into a positive state. Now there's a very specific way, a scientific way of going about doing this. And that way is called anchoring. The word is called, I'll write it down very small here, the word is called anchoring. Like an anchor on a boat. And that word means how do you trigger a positive state in the moment. Now, I'll touch on that a bit later this afternoon. Okay, just understand though that success is not just about skill set, it's also about mindset. Now, let's move on to number 2 on the inner world. Number 2 is something called your beliefs. Essentially, the beliefs that you have. The way you think the world is. There are certain beliefs that we have that are empowering beliefs that lead people to a life of massive wealth and success. And on the flip side, there are other beliefs, they're called limiting beliefs, that hold people back and stop them from being the best they can be. Essentially, what your beliefs are, it's what you think about the world, the way you think the world works, how you view the world, what you think is true. Now, I want to focus on 5 beliefs here that people have about money and success that destroy people. If you have these 5 beliefs, it is very hard to become successful. So quickly put up these 5 beliefs. Okay? Here's number 1. So, and the reason that it's called a belief, it's not a fact of life. But when you believe something strongly, to you it feels like it's a fact of life. You take it as being a fact. But it's not, it's just a belief. And I'll give you a metaphor here. Imagine a Ferrari, a beautiful cherry red Ferrari, right? It's cost $500,000 US. It's got a big 700 horsepower engine. It's got 12 cylinders, 4 valves per, capable of going 220 miles an hour. But if there's a governor on the engine stopping the flow of gas, I don't care how fast it could go, it's not going over 55 miles an hour. And that's what limiting beliefs do to you. They stop you from charging forward when you should. They cause you to pull back when you shouldn't. And we all have them. Everybody has these limiting beliefs, including me. We all have some of them. And the idea is the first step in succeeding in life is realizing what my limiting beliefs are, and that's the first step to rooting them out. Now here are 5 that are very common, and if you have them, you have to address them and root them out. So let's go through them. Number 1, if I get rich, I'll become greedy. Now, some people think that money will change them in some way. Well, let me just tell you something about money. Money doesn't change you. It just makes you more of what you already are. And that way it's like alcohol. You know, or drinking alcohol. If you're an asshole, you ever see a guy who's an asshole drunk? He's a gigantic asshole, right? Yeah, it's true, right? You see an asshole in the bar, he drinks, you can't be the guy. But you have a wonderful, nice person, give a little alcohol, and then the life of the party. It magnifies you. Money doesn't change who you are. It magnifies who you are. If you're a great, wonderful person, and you get rich, guess what? You'll be generous, and you'll spread the money around. It's not going to make you greedy, but some people think they have this belief that if they get rich, maybe I'll become greedy, and I'll just lose touch with God. It's bullshit. Knock that shit out of your mind. Money does not change who you are. It amplifies who you are. Number 2, some people think maybe I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur. I'm just not cut out that way. I'm meant to be a worker. Let me just tell you something. Number 1, that is a load of shit. There's no entrepreneur's gene that someone has. You can train yourself, you can learn the skills of being an entrepreneur. What very often happens, though, is many people, they start off in life, and they feel like, yes, I'm an entrepreneur, I want to own a business, and they'll have a setback. Something bad will happen, I'll have a failure, and they lose their certainty, and they suddenly say, well, you know what? Maybe I'm not actually meant to be an entrepreneur. Maybe I'm just meant to be a worker. Maybe I'm not meant to be rich. I'm just meant to be average. Let me tell you my own story. So I'll just listen to myself. So as I say, I was basically a born entrepreneur from the time I emerged from my mother's womb. At the age of 8, I had a paper route, and I was knocking on doors to expand my paper route. That's 8 years old, okay, my first business. And I built this paper route, I made a lot of money, and when I was 9 and a half, my mother made me sell the paper. I'm gonna actually get off the stage here, it's okay? So I can talk to you guys more closely, right? So when I was Everyone still see me here? Yeah, right? Good. Right? So when I was 9 years old, my mother made me sell this paper out because I was doing so well, she thought I'd neglect my schoolwork. So I was forced to sell the route and go into retirement. I made $25. I thought I was rich, right? And that was it. I retired, a rich guy at 9 years old. My retirement didn't last long. At the age of 10, I started shoveling driveways after snowstorms. Now, does it snow a lot here in Ukraine? Yes? Well, back in the day, before global warming, before Al Gore invented global warming, right? It used to snow like crazy in New York. And what I would do is I was not born wealthy, I was born poor. I did not grow up with money. So it was a wealthy neighborhood about maybe a mile away, so I'd get dressed up in my winter clothes, I'd take a shovel, and I'd walk into the wealthy area, and I'd start knocking on people's doors, and I'd offer to shovel their driveway for $20. And I did that for about 2 years, and I made a lot of money. Every single winter, I'd go out there with every snowstorm, and I made a lot of money shoveling snow, okay? Eventually, it stopped snowing. It just got warmer, right? This global warming shit, right? It stopped snowing. I was out of business again. Now, next business. At the age of 13, I was watching TV one day, and I saw this magician, a famous magician named David Copperfield. You guys know David Copperfield, the magician? Yes? And I was like, he made the Statue of Liberty disappear, right? I was like, holy shit. I said, I was married to Claudia Schiffer, by the way. Pretty good, right? Famous model. I was like, I want to be a magician. I got to bug up my ass to be a magician, right? So what did I do? I went out and I put an ad in the local newspaper called The Penny Saver, and I put an ad in there saying, children's parties, $25. Now, just so you know, I didn't even know how to do magic tricks yet. I never thought anyone was going to call. I just did it like a little lark, right, as I say. And guess what? The phone starts ringing off the hook. And I start panicking. I don't know how to do magic, right? So my phone starts ringing. I go to my father. I say, Dad, I made a mistake. I put this ad in the paper, blah, blah, blah. And it's okay, no problem. And just so you know, my parents were not entrepreneurs. They were not. My parents were working people. They did not own their own companies. They never had done anything like this. But they always encouraged me. They didn't stop me, right? So my father took me to this local shop in New York City called Lewis Tan. It's a famous magic shop. He bought me a couple of tricks, and I actually learned how to become a magician. And between the ages of 13 and 16, I made a lot of money doing these children's magic shows. Right? Pretty much a born entrepreneur, you'd say, right? Well, guess what? At the age of 16, I really hit it big for the first time. Now, I don't know if anybody been to New York? Any people visit New York? Well, if you go to New York in the summer, there's a beach called Jones Beach. It's a massive beach. Like, on a hot summer day, there's 1 million people, right? And it's a really long walk to go from the beach to get a drink at the concession stand, right? And I'm at the shoreline, and I noticed that there were all these people, they're all bitching, and they're moaning, God, it's so hot out, it takes so long to get a drink, So I said to myself, I wonder what would happen if I just, went down to the store, took a white cooler, put some ice cream ices in there, right? Put some ice on top, and then just walked along the beach and started selling it for $1 a piece, right? Next morning, I woke up, I went to some local, I found these crazy Greek guys who owned the ice cream distributor, right? I walked in with a white cooler, and I loaded it up with what they call Italian ices, like a barrel of ices, scooped out into a cup, some chip wedges, some Fudgables, some Milky Way, some sticks, all the stuff you can sell, right? The total cost of the barrel of the whole thing was $22. And I went out to the beach, and in 1 hour, I sold out the entire cooler for $127. And I made $100 plus in 1 hour. The year was 1978. I was 16 years old. You do the math, see how old I am, right? By the way, I look pretty good for my age. After all the drugs I did, right? Pretty good, right? Yes? Come on. You think I look like Keith Richards from the Rolling Stones after all the drugs I did, right? I got lucky, right? Anyway, so I sold all these, the whole thing outright in 1 hour. Made $100. It was more than my parents were making by far. Next day, what did I do? I went out This time I bought 4 coolers, and I sold all 4 coolers out in one day. I made $400+ my second day, and that first summer, as a vendor on the beach, I made $26,000 while I was still in high school. Now, just so you know, that was 1970, so the equivalent now would be, it's like $100,000 right now in US dollars. It's been inflation over the years, right? So it was like 10 times more than my parents were making. My friends were making nothing compared to that. In fact, my friends would make, for an entire week, they'd make $100. And I was making $400 per day. And I actually did that. I went on the beach every year, and I used that money to put myself through school, to go to college. And I was able to put myself through college, right? And I graduated school. I went through 4 years of college. Now, when I graduated, right, I actually had one misstep on the road to entrepreneurial success. And those of you who know the story, I believe it or not, I actually spent 1 day in dental school to be a freaking dentist. Believe it or not. I actually went to dental school for 1 day. And here's what happened. You know, from the time I was 2 years old, sitting in the high chair, and my mom would spoon feed me applesauce, she'd say to me, "You gotta be a doctor. You gotta be a doctor. The only noble way to be wealthy, you gotta be a," it's like fucking hypnosis, right? Doctor, right? My mother wanted me to be a doctor. And what she was doing, by the way, is she was inserting a belief in me. That's what she was doing. By again and again, you gotta be a doctor. It's the only way, doctor, dentist. Now, when I was 21 years old, if you would have said to me, "What do you want to be when you get older?" You know what I would say? Rich! I didn't really know what I wanted. You know, like, who really knows when you're that age, right? But I figured, well, my mother says doctor, rich, doctors are rich, so I figured it was the perfect thing to do, right? Now, I had 2 options. One was to go to medical school, which would have been another 8 years. I would have killed myself. I want to be rich now, right? The other option was to go to dental school, because you're still a doctor, but it's only 4 years. I said, well, I'll still be a doctor. They get rich too. Everything we progress. So actually, I was a good student, so I applied and I got in. So now it's September. I go to my first day of dental school in the Baltimore College of Dental Surgery, and I'm sitting there in the audience, like this, but smaller. It's like 100 people in the audience. And I look around and say, oh, everyone looks, you know, pretty bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, so to speak, right? You know, look pretty smart. So far, so good. And the dean of the school stands up, white-haired guy wearing a white jacket, pretty dental-looking. I was like, all right, well, this makes sense, right? And he gets up on stage, and he says to everybody, "Welcome to the Baltimore College of Dental Surgery. You should be very proud to be here. Dentistry is a wonderful profession. You'll be a pillar of the community, blah, blah, fucking blah," right? So I'm like, all right, so far so good, right? And then he says, "But let me say this. The golden age of dentistry is over. If you're here to make a lot of money, you're probably in the wrong place." I'm like, what the fuck? I'm in the wrong place. And I got up and I was like, excuse me, and I walked out. And I actually left right there in the middle of the orientation. I dropped out, right? Drop out, right? The other kids like, what the fuck? They're looking at me, right? And now, I couldn't bear to tell my mother I dropped, so like, she called me, how? I'm like, oh, it's pretty good. Like, for months I was hiding in Maryland. I did not matter to my parents, right? But eventually, you know, I ran out of money, right? I had to come back home and move in with my parents again, which I can assure you was no fucking picnic, right? You saw the movie, right? It was just like that in my house. My dad is nuts out of his mind, right? They sit there all day watching TV, right? So I had to move back home. And what my next job out of school was now, I answered a blind ad in the newspaper to sell meat and seafood door-to-door. Door-to-door sales, right? And when I showed up at the company, I saw all these guys running around. They were selling meat and seafood out of these pickup trucks. Right? It was all cold calling. You knock on people's homes and you tried to sell them home freezer plants, frozen steaks and strips, right? So the training program that they had, if you call it that, right, was you essentially sit in someone else's truck for a day, and you drive around with them shotgun, as they call it, right? And you watch what they do, and you learn like that. The next day, you were supposed to go out yourself and do the same thing. So they put me with this guy who actually became a very, very good friend of mine. His nickname was the Penguin, we called him, right? We called him the Penguin because he used to walk out, he used to waddle around like he had a stick up his ass, like this, next to waddle, right? So we called him the Penguin, and this guy takes me around. He says, listen, the key to sales, when you want to sell, you gotta be upbeat, you gotta be positive. Just walk up to someone's door, you knock, and you just smile and you give them the pitch, you know, I'm here to do a meat and seafood, that's extra boxes, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, and whatever you do, if they slam the door in your face, they say no, whatever they say, just say to them, have a nice day. I'm like, why? Because it makes you feel better about yourself. That was my pro. I said, all right, fine. We drive up to this area, right? It's called Westchester, New York, right? We drive there. He gets out of the truck. He waddles up to the first door. I'm watching him, right? He knocks on the first door, right? The woman opens the door. He goes, hi, my name's Elliot. I do the meetings, you'll slam. He's like, have a nice day, right? No problem, watch. We go to the next door. He's like, knock, knock, knock. Woman walks up. Can I help you? Hi, my name's Elliot. I do the meetings, slam. It's like, have a nice day. Let me tell you something. I watched this guy have no less than 50 doors in a row slammed in his face. One after the next, right? Somewhere around 12:30, 1 o'clock, he gets out of the truck, and every time, though, he'd be like, all confident, waddling up to the door, comfortable, right? But somewhere around 12 o'clock, 12:30, he gets out of the truck, and his head drops, and his shoulders come over, and he walks up to the door, and he bends it, he almost doesn't even want to knock anymore. And he's like, really, a little light knock, and the woman opens up the door, and he looks there and he goes, you wouldn't want any filet mignon or shrimp or lobster tails, right? The last 20 people said no, so I'm just assuming you're going to say no too, right? Now, just so you know, he didn't quite say those words. He didn't have to. Everything about his body language, his tonality, it was shrieking like that nobody wants what I have. Everyone, you get that? Yes? Yes, everyone get that? Yeah. You understand that? It wasn't his words, so to speak. It was everything about him that said that the guy was not selling anything. And I watched that, and I was actually bowled over by that. I couldn't believe it. I was like, I wonder if he knows how terrible this sounds. Anyway, he kept going, and that day, he didn't sell one single box the entire day. Not even one box of meat. The next day, they gave me my own truck. And they put in this truck, they gave me 35 boxes of meat. And he was supposed to sell 5 boxes per day and work 7 days, work all 7 days. And sell 5 boxes a day, make $20 in each box, make $100 a week. That was the job, right? So they give me this truck, and I drive up to I go to some area, I go to a wealthy area, I think they didn't buy a lot of meat. And the first door I knock on, it's a big house, I knock on the door, and a woman comes out, and something comes over me. I just had a gift, and a natural gift for selling. And every word that came out of my mouth was perfect. I knew I sounded great, I smiled, just everything about it, I was perfect. And the first woman bought 13 boxes of meat from me. The very first door I knocked on. Right? I have no fucking idea what she's been doing all this meat, but I convinced her to buy 13 boxes. And the first day on the job, I sold all 35 boxes of meat. I almost sold more in the actual truck. I almost sold the truck, right? I mean, that's how well it went, right? And I shattered the company record. Sold 35 boxes a day. The first week on the job, I sold 240 boxes of meat and blew the company record away. It was 5 times more than anybody else was selling, right? After about 2 or 3 weeks of this, I said to myself, why am I working for these idiots, right? I mean, they don't know what they're doing. Half the time there's food missing from the freezer. They're not that organized. I might as well just go do this myself. After all, I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a born entrepreneur. That's how I viewed it was a belief that I had. I'm an entrepreneur. So why should I work for somebody else? So what did I do? I went out, I bought my own truck. I built a little freezer box. I went down to the meat market. I got my suppliers. I formed the name of my company, right? And I went out there and I started making the double market. I was doing amazingly well. So what did I do? I bought a second truck. And I started training somebody. And I realized now that not only could I sell myself, but I had the ability to train other people. And this person became a top producer too. So I bought a third truck. And I bought a fourth truck. And I bought well, guess what? Before I knew it, within 10 months, I had 26 trucks on the road. I was making a ton of money, I thought. But actually, I was making every mistake that a young entrepreneur can make. I was overexpanding, I was undercapitalized, I was growing on credit, I wasn't screening out the people I was hiring as sales. Half my salespeople were crack addicts, and they would disappear with my stuff, right? It was insane. And literally after 18 months, I went bankrupt. I lost everything. I lost all my money. All 26 trucks got dispossessed. The bank came, right? Now, at the time, I was 24 years old, just turned 24, right? And I went out and bought a beautiful red Porsche 911. I thought it was great. I mean, best thing ever. And like the saddest day of my life at that time was when the bank came with their tow truck and they dispossessed my Porsche. They took the Porsche away and I had a tear in my eye. I thought life was over, right? So now at 24 years old, living in New York, a great salesman for sure, no money, but I want to be rich. So what do? You go down to Wall Street. That was what young people did back then. Why rich? Become a stockbroker. So I went down to Wall Street, and now, understand, I had to basically sell myself a job. My resume was not looking that good at this point. I was a dental school dropout who just declared bankruptcy. Right? Hired, not that good, right? So I had to actually go down there and sell myself a job. And I went into the office for the interview, and I actually started pitching. It was the manager of the office. I started actually trying to sell the guy stock in the interview. Without even knowing what I was doing, I started trying to sell them the stock, right? And the guy's like, whoa, calm down. He goes, Jesus, I've never met anybody like you. Because either one of two things is going to happen. Because either you're going to be the biggest broker in Wall Street history, or you're going to end up in jail. Well, the guy's a fucking genius. He was right on both accounts, right? Go figure. He hired me, and that was my first day in the stock market. Now, I want you to understand something. I went through the stock market, right? And as the movie said, I trained for 6 or 7 months, and my first day as a broker was Black Monday. It was true. My first day for myself, the market went down 508 points, and just like that, I was out of a job. The firm closed. And once again, I was broke, out of work, and I was just absolutely devastated at this point, right? And make a long story short, I ended up going to work for a small firm, right? And I became this big broker at this small firm, right? Where I broke the record again. I'm going to go through this again in more detail in a few minutes, right? And then I had the opportunity to open up my own firm again, to go out my own again. Except this time, I delayed. Why? Because that one failure in the meat business, one failure, inserted a belief in me. I had a belief now. I said, maybe I'm not meant to be an entrepreneur. Maybe I'm not entrepreneur material. That one failure. Now look at my life. 8 years old, I had a paper route. I succeed. 10 years old, I'm shoveling driveways. I succeed. 12 years old, I'm doing magic tricks. I succeed again. 60 years old, I'm making more money than my parents are making, right? Success, 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 success. One failure, and it erases all that stuff. And now I'm saying to myself, I said, maybe I'm not an entrepreneur. Well, let me ask everybody sitting here a question. Look at and be honest with yourself. Look back at your own life, and what things have happened to you? What experiences have you been through? What setbacks have all of you had? And it's everybody here, rich and poor alike. What things have not gone your way? And when that happens to us, what happens is we get in form of belief, a limiting belief. Now, let's look at the reality. I go into business at 21 years old, selling meat and seafood, right? I'm a great salesperson for sure, but I don't know the rules of business. I don't know how to start a business the right way, how to grow it the right way. I don't know the rules of credit. I make all these mistakes. I go bankrupt. So what's the truth? Well, the truth is, you know what? Maybe before you go into business, you want to learn the fucking rules. You should know how to do it, right? You should just fly off on because you're a good salesman and go into business. That's the healthy takeaway. Does that make sense? Yes? Yeah. Not a yes? Yeah. But at that moment in time, when you're down on the bottom, everyone's pissing on you, you feel terrible about yourself, that's not what we say to ourselves. We say, oh, I shouldn't have done this. What was I thinking? Maybe I'm not meant to be great. Maybe I should just be average. Maybe I should settle for less and be happy. What's wrong? And that's what happens. When we fail, when we don't get the result we're looking for, we very often get the wrong take. We don't get the right lesson. The right lesson for that experience is next time before you go out, learn the rules. Learn what before you leap, learn. Yet I'm thinking maybe I'm not entrepreneurial material. If you're sitting here right now and there's something inside saying, well, maybe I'm not meant to be a top producer, maybe I'm not meant to be rich, you gotta wipe that shit out of your mind. Let me just tell you one thing. Every single person in this room, flat out, everybody here is capable of achieving greatness. You are. Every human being is capable of achieving massive greatness in your life. There are certain rules you have to learn, certain strategies you have to know, and that's the goal of today. My goal is I can't work with like this. I know some of you are probably in stocks, other you sell cars. I can't teach you about your own business in a group. One by one, yes, I could. But in a room 1 on 3,000, I can't focus on your specific industry. But what I can tell you is this. If you learn these 8 things, they apply to any industry or anything that you want to do. And the first thing is the ability to manage your state. The second one is these beliefs that you have. You can't go through life with thinking that I'm not meant to be great. If I get rich, I'll become greedy. Or number 3, selling is evil. Some people have this mistaken notion that sales, influence, if I sell, it's manipulative, it's greedy. And my parents are perfect examples of that. My mother and my father were both very smart, brilliant people, highly educated, worked very hard. My dad was an accountant, a chartered accountant, and so was my mother. Yet they never had money when I was growing up. They struggled. Why? Because they never wanted to sell or influence. So they just worked for somebody else, they punched the clock, and without having that ability, without going out there and selling what you have, it is really, really hard to make money. Does that make sense? Yes? Yeah. Selling is not evil. Selling is a wonderful, beautiful thing. Without sales, the world doesn't work. Ethical persuasion, about learning how to help people get what they want, get people what they need, that's the goal. Ethical persuasion. Number 4, I'll have to sacrifice everything for hard work. Essentially, if I work hard, I'll lose touch with my family, that is the biggest load of shit ever. The hardest working people I know in the world are people who punch a clock every single day. They work for other people, day in, day out, they sit behind a desk, and they work, and they're entrepreneurs, salespeople, business owners. They work really hard for a certain time. It's hard work they do, but at a certain point they build the business and they can step back. The hardest working people in the world are working behind a desk and just punching a clock every day. It's bullshit. And number 5, the most debilitating belief of all, is essentially the world happens to me, meaning I am a creature of circumstance. I'm not in control of my own destiny. And if you believe that, it's just, it's happened to me, I can't essentially change my circumstance, it's almost impossible to make money. There are actually 3 things that people do. When people think they're creatures of circumstance, they do 3 things. I'll tell you what they are. Number 1, if you have that limiting belief, you do 3 things. Number 1, you do what's called, you play the blame game. You blame everybody around you for what's not right in your life. You blame your parents for not raising you the right way. You blame your school teachers. You blame the government. You blame your friends. You blame the media. You blame the bastards on Wall Street. You blame the economy. You blame everybody but who? Yourself. That's the one person that people they look outside. They play the blame game. It's very hard to get ahead when you're pointing the finger of blame. Number 2, when you believe the world happens to you, the second thing you do is you justify. Meaning, you make excuses for what you don't have. You start saying to yourself, yeah, I don't really need to be rich. I don't really need that much money. Oh, really? I can live on love alone. What a load of shit that is. No offense. I mean, try to go to the bank next month and say, I'd like to deposit some love to pay the rent. Doesn't fucking work, right? Here's the thing about money. Money is the most important thing in the world for a few basic things. Food, shelter, medical. There's a few things that you have to have money for. After that, yes, there's a lot of other stuff as well. Money doesn't buy happiness. That's true. Money will not buy you happiness. But a lack of money is a passport to misery. Not having money can make you miserable. I've seen more marriages break up because of lack of money. People fight because of lack of money. I've seen people who are sick not get better because of lack of money. Money's a powerful tool to help you do good. Okay? So this idea that, the world happens to me, the opposite belief is what? I make my own way. I'm a master of my own destiny. I'm not a creature of circumstance. I create my own circumstance. So the idea, and the reason I'm going through this is I want just to outline it for you very quickly so you know. You must do a check, like an inventory. Am I thinking, is this stuff holding me back? If it's sitting there, I don't care how much I teach you this outer world stuff, it's going to sabotage you. So you got to root that shit out. So that's number 2, the beliefs that we have. Number 3, you have something what's called vision focus. Meaning, to create what is called a fully integrated vision for your future. Do you have a vision for your future? Do you know where you want to go in life? Do you have a target to aim for? And secondly, why? Why does it matter to you? Now, what many people go around with, they walk through life and they have goals. They set goals. Goal for this, goal for that. But I'm not talking about a goal here. A vision for your future is a very different thing. It's just a matter, please write this down. It's where do I see my life 5 years from now and why? Why does it matter to me? You have to know this why. Now write it down. This W-H-Y. It's not enough about, what's my vision? Where am I going to be in 5 years from now? But also why. W-H-Y. When somebody's having trouble motivating themselves, like, I can't get motivated, I can't get myself to get it, it's because they don't know why things matter to them. And again, I'll circle back to this, and I just want to lay it out for you right now. Typically that person will, they'll say, yeah, I want this, I want to be rich. But that's not a vision, that's not a why. Why does it matter to you? And typically as human beings, It's not about what you get for yourself. Your why typically has to do with your love for other people, for a cause. It's much more power than that. I'll circle back to that. I want to get into the other stuff. Next, number 4, is your standards. What standard do you hold yourself to? We all have standards, personal standards, that, and really what your standards are, is they are your musts. What you must have, what you will not settle for less than. And we all have these standards. Now, it's not just for money. You have standards for your health, for how you keep your body. But let's talk about money and success. There are certain people with very high standards for money. They insist they must make a lot of money. And there are other people with very low standards for money. It's not that they don't value money that much. Now let me explain to you how this works here. Imagine it works very much like you're on a thermostat in your house, right? And you set your thermostat to, let's say, 20 degrees, right? That's essentially your set point. If you go above that, what happens? The air conditioning will kick on and cool it down. If it goes below, the heat turns on and kicks it up, right? You stay around that set point. That's exactly the way it works with your standards, especially for money. Everybody has a certain standard for money. Whether you know or not, there's a certain amount of money that you must make every single year, and that you will not stop working until you hit that standard. Let me go back to that story. Remember I told you I was on the beach, and I go out there every day. I would sell 4 coolers a day, right? Well, guess what? Jones Beach is a very big beach. So I told my friends, I said, hey guys, come with me. Come, I'll show you what to do. You're making virtually no money in your job. Come down to the beach, work at these other beaches, and I'll show you how to do it. And I had 4 other friends actually, 4 other kids that would go down to the beach with me, and 3 of them, you know what they would do? They would sell 1 cooler, they'd make $100, and they'd stop. Only 1 of them would go out and actually sell 4 coolers a day. What's that about? Why would 3 of them stop? Reason is, they didn't care, they had lower standards. It wasn't as important to them. The 4th one would actually go out and hustle like I did. So what your standard is, it's that set point about what you must have. So if you want to have a life filled with wealth and abundance, you better have high financial standards. If your standards are too low, you essentially self-sabotage, you get lazy, and you slow down. Does that make sense? Yes? Louder, yes? Great. So now, these 4 things make up the so-called inner world of success. What happens up here between your ears before you ever go out into the world and take action. And now let's flip over to the outer world. Now this is the stuff where, now again, if I had 3 or 4 days, guys, I would teach you all that and all this. For today, I want to focus on what's on this side. I want to teach you guys how to close, how to sell. That makes sense? Yes? Focus on the sales. But I want to go through this so you can know that as well. But in the outer world, these are the strategies. Number 1 here, you have the rules of entrepreneurship. In other words, business has rules. And you have to obey those rules and know those rules before you start. Or you end up like I did, going into business and failing. Now, I'm going to break this down very quickly. There are 2 sides to this. Number 1, before you go into business, you need to learn how to do what's called fail elegantly. Meaning, how do you go into business and learn to be wrong? How do you test ideas out? How do you try something, not sure if it's right, and you take a test? And if you're wrong, you maximize on the lessons that you learn, but minimize on the amount of time you lose and the amount of money that you lose. You have to learn how to fail elegantly. And on the flip side of that, you have what's called succeeding wildly. What do you do succeeding wildly? What do you do when things are right? When you test an idea and it's going well. How do you take a small business and turn it into a massive business? How do you essentially add a zero onto your income? They're very different skill sets, how you do one versus the other. Succeeding, wildly failing, you must know how to do those two things to be a successful entrepreneur. Number two, on the outer world, okay? Marketing. Essentially, how do you go out there and find the best buyers for your product? In other words, you have sales, selling, right? When you get in front of people, selling is what closes the deal. But how do you get to those people in the first place? How do you find what we call the best buyer for your product? How do you go out there and do that quickly, elegantly, without that much money? Now, today, we have two different types of marketing. You have traditional offline marketing, what we used to have TV, radio, newspaper, right? Then you also have now online marketing. Things like Google, Yahoo, Bing. How do you go out there, Facebook, and social media? How do you bring people into your sales funnel? That's marketing. And the next step to this is sales, influence, and persuasion. Sales, influence, persuasion. Essentially, how do you close the deal? When you get people into your sales funnel, so to speak, how do you close them? How do you say yes? And that's what I'm trying to spend most of the rest of the day working on today, is to show you a system of how you get any person, once you're in front of them, and you get them to say yes, and give you a massive number of referrals. Okay? For that system, we use what's called the straight line. And again, when I talk about sales, to be clear, it's not just selling a product. It's also negotiation. How do you raise money for your ideas? One of the most important skills that you need to learn to do as a business owner and as any success-oriented person is how do you get people to give you money for your ideas. So I want to share with you today as well a very powerful way of how you go about raising money, finding the right partners, so you can take any idea that you have and turn that into a business. Let me ask you a question. How many people here could benefit by learning how to raise money? Raise your hand. A lot of you? Right, a lot of you figure, right? For most people, money is a limiting factor in their growing a business, starting a business. I can promise you this. Once you understand how to do it, raising money is one of the easiest things to do. It's not hard to do. There's a certain system for it. There's a set of things that you must, if you don't do it right, it's hard. But once you know how to do it, raising money is not a very hard thing to do. So again, when I talk about sales and persuasion, it's not just about closing a deal. It's raising money. It's learning how to negotiate correctly. How do you sell people to come work for you? How do you get the right employees to come work for you? How do you negotiate the best leases for your business? It cuts through to everything. How do you sell your own children on the value of education, doing the right thing? It doesn't matter what you do, whether you're a lawyer trying to sell a jury on the innocence of your client, you can be a preacher trying to preach some moral values to your congregation, you can be a business owner trying to raise money from venture capitalists, you can be a traditional salesman just trying to sell a truck. No matter what you do, the ability to close the deal, to get someone to say yes. And let me elaborate that. When I say close the deal, as a salesperson, what we're looking to do is you're not looking to get people who say no and take that no and turn it into a yes. That's not what salespeople do. People who say no, we want to get them out of the equation as quickly and elegantly as possible. We don't turn no's into yeses. What great salespeople do is they turn let me think about it into a yes. Let me call you back into a yes. I can't afford it right now into a yes. Let me check with my boss into a yes. Let me check with my, you get all those objections and stalls. So what I'm going to share with you with straight line systems. How do you take all those stalls, objections, so to speak, and turn those into yeses? That is what world-class salespeople know how to do. And once you learn how to do that, making money becomes really, really easy. So I'm going to give you a major dose of that today. Literally, I most of the rest of the day on sales and persuasion. And lastly, the last element of the outer world of success is something I call MSIs, which stands for multiple streams of income. Meaning, what do you do with your money once you make it? How do you take the excess capital that you've earned from your business, from your selling? How do you take that money and put it to work? Real estate, stock market, commodities, currency trading, network, whatever it is you do, how do you pay the second, third, and fourth source of income? So now watch. When I talk about achieving success, the method that I teach people has been so effective around the world. It's not just learning how to close the deal. The idea is that you want to come around both these inner world principles, okay, learning how to manage your state, getting rid of your limiting beliefs, creating a powerful vision for your future, and learning how to focus on that vision for raising your standards. This essentially sets you up to achieve success in the outer world. And in the outer world, we must know how to, number one, run a business. How do you essentially become an entrepreneur? How do you start a business? How do you grow a business? How do you take a small business and turn it into a big business? How do you take a big business regionally and turn it into a global powerhouse? Two, how do you market effectively, both offline and online? How do you go out there and essentially, number one, identify who's your best buyer? Who is that really going out there and buying your product? Two, how do I find that person cost effectively? How do I go out and reach that person in mass? And three, what should my message say? What words, what are the trigger words I need to use? What are the things I need to avoid using? How do I get those people to either click on my website, walk in my door, pick up the phone and call, whatever it might be? How do I get those people interested? Once they come into your sales funnel, that brings us to this step right here, is how do you close them? How do you get someone who's interested to say yes and give you their credit card? Most important step of all. And then lastly, what do I do with the money after I make it? How do I take the money I have and put it to work for me to make even more money? When I teach the overall straight line system to people for success, I'll go through all 8 of these things. And let me tell you something, guys. I have taught this all over the world, in every language, in people that have, at the worst, I've been in Africa, the jungles of Africa. I've been to the wealthiest places in the world as well. And I've never met a group of people, a country, it doesn't matter what they do, that couldn't take this very simple system and apply it to their business, to their life, and make massive progress very quickly. So the goal here, just so you understand, the goal here is not for me to teach you some stuff, then in 3 years from now, you'll start getting the benefit. That's not it at all. What I'm going to be teaching you right now with sales and persuasion especially is stuff that you can use immediately. Stuff you can apply in your businesses on Monday morning to start closing more sales, start making more money, and doing it with a lot more ease. So it's not a struggle anymore, and that's the bottom line. Okay? So, that being said, let's take let's take a 10-minute break here. Okay, we'll do a quick 10 minutes, okay, 15-minute stops. And then come right back here, and we're going to go straight for about 2.5 hours, purely into sales, teach the straight line. Okay, so we're now, it's, what time is it, 1:45. Come back at 2 o'clock sharp, right guys? 2 o'clock, right? Sound good?